Call to order, Bedford Township Board, September 16th, 2025, 7 p.m. Please rise for the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for your goodness and your mercy today, and we just pray you'd go before this board. You would guide them and give them the wisdom necessary to lead our township well. We are just thankful that you're with us, and we just pray for them just to be blessed for giving of their lives in service. We just pray you'd be with their families. We also lift up our nation as we're in just a time of grieving and confusion. We're thankful that you heal and you go before all of our troubles, and you're near. And so we just pray for direction in our federal government as well. And we're thankful for who you are. In your name, amen.
Thank you, Dustin. Next is approval of the agenda. I would like to add to the agenda to increase the time to 3 minutes. We have a decent-sized crowd with some opinions this evening. If I can get a motion.
I'd like to also add the add 8F, approve September 10th proclamation to make September 10th Charlie Kirk Day in Bedford Township.
Have support?
Support.
Further discussion? Joe did. Okay. Seeing none, if you can please take the roll.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Stump?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Pryor?
Aye. Motion carries. Next is the consent agenda. Agenda Committee recommends to approve and place on file minutes from the September 2nd, 2025 regular meeting of the Bedford Township Board. Gent B, General Savings, Pooled Funds, and CD reports from the Treasurer for August 2025. C, Balance Sheet and Revenue Expense Report for the period ending August 31st, 2025. Get support.
I'll support the approval of the consent agenda.
No.
Oh, I thought you made the motion.
Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll support.
All righty. Any discussion? Seeing none, please take the roll.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Stump?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Pryor?
Aye, motion carries. Number 4A, Monroe County Sheriff's Department update.
Good evening. Joe Hammond with the Sheriff's Office. You have in your packet the stats from last month. Nothing about them kind of stand out as out of the ordinary for what we've seen in the township. I guess any questions on those? All right. The sheriff made a press release earlier this week, or Monday, I guess it was of this week, announcing his SAFE program. The SAFE program is a program that allows for residents of County Monroe to register their home and vehicles, that anyone in your residence that has any type of special needs that may be something that would be should be brought to the alert of any first responders coming to their home in a way that we would respond in kind of in response to any of those special needs they may have. For instance, someone who may be suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, if we had that alert, that we would know that as we responded that we would be aware of that condition and take that into consideration in how we respond, or any other special circumstances you may be under, so that your residents could be tagged for that, so that our response would be according to what those needs may be. So that has been put out there. If you visit our county website, you can register your home there, and there's been our literature, I think, passed out to each of the townships and several other within the schools and other areas too. So
I noticed that, did the 6 new officers already start in the county? Or
they have started. They're in our field training program. roughly 4 months worth of training to get through each of the 4 phases of the training, and then we'll have those 6 out with one additional officer that's just about to finish. I think he's got another month or so.
Great.
So that should give us, that'll boost our numbers by 7 there, and we've got some more attending the police academy now, and some going in October.
Great. Any further questions?
No, Joe, thanks for bringing the SAFE program up. I stand firmly behind it because I've seen many times in my career, and I'm sure you have, that dealing with people with special needs, maybe they're nonverbal, maybe they're sensitive to touch or something like that, and we're not aware of that. And I can think of 3 off the top of my head. One was out here in just outside of the township. A gentleman had wandered off from a care facility on Alexis Road and made it up to Bedford, but he had no identification. We had no idea how to find him. It took a lot of legwork to figure out where he's from, and there's been other cases like that. So, folks, if you have elderly with dementia or Alzheimer's or special needs kids, look at that SAFE program so we can be alerted.
Yeah, just bringing awareness to it, and that alert as we respond really is helpful to everybody involved.
Great. Anything else? Any other questions? Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
4B, Assistant Prosecutor of Monroe County, Lauren Boudry.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, esteemed board members, and proud residents of the Bedford Township community. My name is Lauren Boudry, and I'm an assistant prosecutor here in Monroe County. Thank you, first, for giving me an opportunity to speak with you tonight about my judicial campaign. I have been an assistant prosecutor here in Monroe County I've been an assistant prosecutor for 14 years, 10 years here in Monroe County. And I've prosecuted some of the most serious offenses our county has seen, from homicides to major drug traffickers to very complex criminal enterprises. Next year, in 2026, the Honorable Daniel White will be retiring from the 38th Circuit Court, and it is my intent to run for that open seat. For the majority of my career, I have practiced in front of Judge White and the other circuit court judges in Monroe County, handling the exact types of cases that they hear on a daily basis. If anyone here has ever been involved in any type of legal proceeding, whether it be a traffic ticket or divorce or a criminal matter, you know how important the judge's role is in our justice system. Everyone that appears before a judge has certain rights, and it is the judge's job to make sure that everyone is treated fairly and that all of those rights are protected. It's not just lawyers and defendants that the judges interact with. They also talk with witnesses, victims, and jurors. Also, if anyone's ever had jury service, whether you liked it or not, you can probably appreciate a judge who handles the matter in a very thorough yet efficient way and doesn't waste your time. As an experienced litigator who has spent countless hours in the courtroom, I am well versed in how to ensure that victims' voices are heard, defendants are held accountable for their actions, and justice is served in every case that would come before me. Most importantly, our community needs a judge with integrity and knowledge of what it takes to get the job done. And as the mother of 2, a career prosecutor, it is of the utmost importance to me to make sure that my children are raised in a safe and supportive environment that's tough on crime. So I'm here tonight to not only introduce myself to this wonderful community, but also because I believe that it is important that our elected officials are directly involved in the communities that they represent. My community involvement thus far includes being a member of the Child Abuse Network, the Substance Abuse Coalition, Sir Optimus International of Monroe County, and president of our Assistant Prosecutors Union, which is a POAM affiliate union. I also sit on the board for Paula's House, a recovery house for women and children, as well as the River Raisin Clubhouse, which is a community center which offers numerous resources for those living with a mental illness. In my free time, I stay active with my kids' sports teams, church events, and supporting my husband in his work in our Monroe County school system. I've seen in my time down here that Bedford Township is a vibrant and lively community, and I've enjoyed getting to know know people through events like the Bedford Trade Fair and organizations like the Little Blessings Veterans Outreach. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that my kids absolutely love attending the Bedford Township Library. So when the time comes, ultimately, next year, I would love to have your vote. But in the meantime, I look forward to getting to know more and more of you, and hopefully showing you that my legal experience, high moral character, and dedication to the pursuit of justice would make me the ideal candidate to represent Monroe County as our next 38th Circuit Court judge. I'll be sticking around till the end of the meeting, and I do have some handouts if you would like some more information about me at the end, or would like to talk further about this upcoming election. So thank you very much, Board, for allowing me to speak tonight.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is public comment. Comment limited to 3 minutes for each individual. This can be for agenda items and anything else you wish to talk about.
Good evening, and thank you, Supervisor Al, and to the board members. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Kojo, and I'm the president of our Monroe County Community College. You know, community colleges have been referred to as the workhorses of higher education. We do what others cannot do. We take those students who may not be able to go anywhere else, we shape them and we mold them, and we make them as competitive as they can be. That's what we do at Monroe County Community College. And it is the only college in this entire county. We're a county institution. We are that oasis of hope here in this county. Now, let me give you a few numbers here, some stats. We're ranked in the top 9% of all community colleges in the nation. Our annual economic impact on the region, including Lucas and Wayne, is $363 million a year. Enrollment is up in terms of students from Bedford by 2% coming our way. We are the #1 school of choice for students from Monroe County. 75% of county residents have either attended or have family members who have attended MCCC. Our nursing program is consistently ranked #1 in the state. Associate degree completion rates exceed that of the nation and the state here in our county because of Monroe County Community College. Every business and nonprofit in the county is positively impacted by MCCC, including the Sheriff's Department. You heard that report. Our Criminal Justice Academy, we're involved with them. ISD, YMCA, you name it. Folks, we're one of the best colleges in the nation, and we're right here in your backyard. All we want is your continued support. You've supported us for 61 years, and we thank you for that. And all we're asking is continued support so we can last another 61 times 61 times 61, whatever that adds up to. So with that said, thank you. We appreciate you, and we're looking forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Hello, my name is Pamela Hess, and I'm from Temperance. Firstly, I just want to say my heart genuinely and sincerely goes out to anyone grieving and impacted by the horrific assassination last week, truly. And with that, I have just a small confession to make. Before last week's awful event, I had not heard of Charlie Kirk, and I had to do some research. I'm sure we can all agree that speech should not get you violently murdered on camera for the world to see. I certainly didn't want to see that. It made me sick to my stomach. I'm sure other people felt the same way. It's clear there are political differences in this room, and in this nation right now, but we should all be free to make our voices heard in a respectful, healthy manner. Discussing ideas respectfully in the public square is part of what makes America great, or something that used to make America great. Let's be honest, we can't have public discourse anymore without getting emotional and violence happening in our local communities and federally. Political violence was nowhere near the correct choice that day, especially when provided an opportunity to make that person's voice heard publicly on a microphone. In doing my research, though, I didn't find anything about Charlie's involvement with our community, and maybe I'm mistaken, I'm open to be corrected. Is Charlie Kirk from Bedford? Has he done something prominent in or for Bedford? As a passionate citizen of this area, I cannot imagine why he would be honored in our community if he wasn't from here or made a positive impact to the community at large. That is not to say people cannot grieve his death or feel however they feel about it. Please do not hear me say that. You are entitled to how you feel. Members of this board, citizens of the audience at home and here, and anyone else impacted are completely free to grieve in any way you choose, so long as it doesn't harm other people. In fact, I will defend and support your right to do so. But in my opinion, it is not okay to request citizens dedicate their time, effort, and attention to someone who may not have impacted their life or someone they didn't even know about until last week. May I humbly suggest a private celebration with other people who feel the same, as opposed to making it an entire day for the whole community? I also would like to point out that it is a little ironic that members of this board publicly admonish. Thank you for your time.
Kim Lightfoot Davison, 713 King Street, and I'm sorry I'm not as eloquent as she is. Charlie Kirk was a racist, misogynist, a bigot. No one deserves to be killed for their words or beliefs, but his death does not change the fact that he used his words and his platform to foment division and anger. To name a day to honor someone like this, to honor hate speech, is shameful, and our community is better than this.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Cox. I live in Temperance, 6773 Lockmill Road. I would like to speak directly to 8F, the item that was added this evening to the agenda, and which proposes September 10th to be set aside as Charlie Kirk Day in our township. I stand without hesitation in support of this, not just to honor Charlie Kirk, the man, but to honor what he stood for: faith, family, freedom, and truth. This isn't in my notes, but for those who would oppose, I would be interested if you would also oppose getting rid of Pride Month or things like that, which not all of us agree with. I would like to remind everyone this evening that not too long ago across America, we watched as cities rushed to honor George Floyd. Statues were raised, days were declared, social media demanded compliance, kneel, post, hashtag, or else you would be shamed. All this for a man whose life was marked by crime. That wasn't respect, it was intimidation across this whole nation. It was forced. Now look at the contrast. When Charlie Kirk was killed, there were no riots, no looting, no demands to kneel. Instead, most Americans, not all, some on the left mocked, laughed, and cheered, but most Americans quietly stood and said this was wrong, his voice mattered. No one forced them to say this, no one bullied them. They simply knew a man of conviction had been silenced and they wanted him to be remembered. And make no mistake, Charlie Kirk's death was not some accident of both sides. It was a direct result of poisonous rhetoric. Day after day, he was mocked, vilified, he was called a racist, he was called a bigot, if I remember correctly from 30 seconds ago. Words create atmospheres, and when you paint a man as an enemy of society, you invite violence against him. We live in a conservative community with conservative leaders, yet I am saddened by the silence from some in positions of authority over what happened last week. Let it be stated clearly and for the record, I will do everything in my power to ensure this community remembers who oppose setting aside a day to honor a man killed in the public square for his faith. Those who resist this honoring of Charlie Kirk and the yearly reminder that our First Amendment freedoms are worth defending will find themselves on the wrong side of history, both here at home and across this nation. So why Charlie Kirk Day? Because if America can honor men who did nothing to build up this country, surely we can honor a man who gave his life to shaping young minds, defending freedom, and standing unapologetically for Christian conviction. This is bigger than one date on the calendar. This is a statement, a declaration that our township will not bow to intimidation, that we will not be bullied into silence, and that we are not ashamed to honor truth, courage, and conviction. So let us mark September 10th, not because a mob demanded it, not because politics pressured it, not because you had to put boards on your windows to protect yourself, but because we chose it, because Charlie Kirk mattered, because his life mattered, because the First Amendment matters, and because his voice will not be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacqueline Urbanitis, Temperance. I'm here tonight to strongly oppose the proposed Bedford Township rules for public commentary on tonight's agenda. The proposal up for discussion cuts public comment time by more than half and restricts comments to agenda items only. At previous board meetings, the board limited public comment time to just 2 minutes, and the board's attorney prevented the public from freely addressing board members, an action that may have already violated the First Amendment. No valid reason has been given for this drastic change, so it can only be concluded that some board members are unhappy with certain public views. That is not a legitimate reason to restrict speech, and it raises serious legal and constitutional concerns. When the board expressed interest in reviewing the public comment policy, a small group of us invested significant time engaging with board members in a good faith effort to improve the public comment process. Unfortunately, those efforts were disregarded, and now we find ourselves fighting just to restore the status quo. The board's rules must comply with the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Under the OMA, the public has a clear right to be heard, and any rules adopted by this board must be reasonable, fair, and content neutral. Policies that attempt to restrict citizens who citizens may address or what they may speak about are not only troubling, they are legally questionable. If such restrictions suppress public input or discourage open discourse, they risk violating both the OMA and the First Amendment. Several provisions in this proposal appear to cross that line. Bottom line, as long as my comments are in line with the law, this board has no authority to restrict what I or anyone else can or cannot say during public comment. At the last meeting, every member of the public who spoke made one thing clear. They want their full comment time restored. A majority of this board also publicly stated support for returning to the long-standing 5-2 format. You said the public deserves their time back, and we agree. I urge the board to consider a simple, reasonable change. 5 minutes for agenda items and 3 minutes for general comments so we aren't super rushed. Based on typical attendance, this would only add 5 to 10 minutes to most meetings and would demonstrate that the board values public input and upholds First Amendment rights. If you're truly concerned about time, stop wasting hours. Keep your word and listen to your constituents. Thank you.
Karen Flynn, Temperance. I emailed this board on September 3rd regarding concerns about the upcoming vote on public comment. I worried that it might only amount to a reinstatement of what was taken away on July 15th, missing the opportunity for democratic reform. Having seen the board packet for this meeting, I am now alarmed. What is being proposed only amounts to a reinstatement of 1 minute of previously excluded time, but it also adds the following undemocratic restrictions which did not exist before July 15th. All public comment restricted to agenda items only, total time reduced from 7 to 3 minutes, second public comment time disallowed, finishing another's comments disallowed, addition of undefined no rumors rule, and the addition of a rule giving the board the ability to halt comment that it deems of same topic. Many residents, a former supervisor, and some current board members themselves have requested a more democratic process. The proposal doesn't meet those requests. It instead takes several steps backwards. The board needs to hear
from the public they serve. The board needs to act to develop a public comment policy that is in keeping with the intent and requirements of the Open Meetings Act, which is to provide openness and accountability in government. The board has been and apparently seeks to continue to inhibit and censor criticism and dissenting views. Board rules should not unduly restrict residents' rights to speak or to participate in government. Again, I am requesting 2 public comment periods of 5 and 3 minutes, with residents allowed to speak at both and without restrictions to agenda items only. This model works well for the Monroe Board of Commissioners, and I also request that the rules governing public comment be carefully researched and crafted so that they are in compliance with residents' First Amendment rights and the Open Meetings Act, because the proposed rules are not. Thank you very much.
Justin McCullough, Temperance. I have an awful feeling of deja vu. The first time I spoke up at a township board meeting was after 2 state lawmakers were assassinated in Minnesota. Today, I am speaking just days after yet another political assassination. It is up to all of us to hold each other accountable for our speech, our rhetoric, and our actions. As members of the board, you all represent Bedford Township both in and outside of board meetings. Today, I'd like to address 3 things. First, public comment time should be returned back to its original format of 5 minutes for agenda items and either 2 or 3 minutes for extended time. Second, I believe the public is entitled to a right to privacy. The minutes for future meetings should not include citizens' address unless they are required by law. Posting a citizen's address without their consent could expose them to unnecessary harm simply because someone disagrees with their opinions or statements. I believe this is a matter of public safety, and the OMA does not require posting addresses of those that participate in public comment. Finally, in the packet for today's meeting, a paragraph regarding public comment time was cited from the March 2017 issue of Township Focus magazine. I would encourage all members of this board and the public to read the article referenced on the cover of last month's August issue of Township Focus, titled, "What You Need to Know About the Open Meetings Act." I highly recommend everyone read the last section of that article, titled, "What Happens If a Public Body Violates the Open Meetings Act." Thank you.
Hello, my name is Matt Petrie. I'm actually a resident of Dundee, but I've been very active in the county for several years now. Wanted to just have a couple comments on 2 of these items that have been brought up. Fully in support of what Mr. Cox said about Charlie Kirk Day. Charlie's become a national figure, even with his organization starting chapters here in Bedford, and very much supporting and endorsing the idea of open dialogue. The reason he has become nationally prominent was because he went on college campuses and had open discussion, peaceful, respectful discussion with whoever wanted to talk, which is something we all say that we endorse and we support. And because he did that and he was effective in doing it, he was murdered last week. So just like many other prominent figures, I believe this is a day to memorialize something that doesn't have to be partisan, but it's something for us all to remember that that's what we need to strive for, is more of those peaceful discussions. So I would very much support this memorial. The second item is just on the community college. I know that was brought up. I wanted to bring some bullet points and mention that to you. Is everyone aware you already have a standing millage of over 2 mills that you pay every year as part of your taxes? The renewal that's being talked about now was actually a temporary millage that was passed in 2016. It was advertised as a temporary 5-year millage. We are now almost 10 years into that. The same millage was defeated last fall for a lot of issues that people became aware of, having to do with things like bathroom policies. Those issues still stand. There are also other issues. For one, there is a FOIA violation that happened with a lawsuit currently going on against the community college for information that was redacted and not provided. That is part of the law to provide if it's requested by public. That was a costly FOIA request. It cost over $2,000 for a public citizen to get that FOIA request, and not all the information was provided as it's legally required to be provided. Also, as I mentioned, it is temporary. It was something that was supposed to pass. We don't need this at this point. The college has an $8 million surplus they reported last year. So when we all go to vote this year, remember that this was rejected last year soundly by the community, and now it's back again in a year where we know voter turnout will be much less. It's easier to pass these things. That's why it's being brought up now. Give yourself a tax cut, and I would say reject this new millage extension and cut your taxes. Thank you.
Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive. Please excuse my hat. I've had some face surgery, and I don't want Josh to see the scars. Mr. President, good to see you this evening. I hope I never see you except in a social engagement. I'm here to talk about, obviously, 8E, and also comments made by the supervisor at the last meeting. I wasn't here, so I went to YouTube and looked at them several times. And he was talking about the comment period and waxing poetic as he normally does. And then he said something about, and that supervisor who usually sits out there in the audience, since I'm the only one that normally does that, he said he cut comment period in 1997. So, as I normally do, I filed a bunch of FOIAs. There are no documents around here from 1997. I asked for the agendas, because that'd be where the comment period and the time would be. And I was told by the staff that they're not around here, they're not on media, but she could go find them. Probably. So that means he made a comment about me in 1997 that he had no evidence for and no basis in fact. Later on, he says, past history. I thought that perhaps supervisors set the time for public comment, but I can't verify it. So on one hand, he's telling me what I did, and the other hand, he's saying I can't verify what other supervisors did. I sat in those chairs where you are for 8 years. I sat in the chairs up at the county for 6 years. And I took the shots, as Joe says. They're after your tail, sit there and shut up and move on. My last comment, and I'm kind of bragging for a minute. This is my 50th year as a member of the Ohio Bar. I've enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Cynthia Vincent, Temperance, Michigan. I'd first like to say thank you to Supervisor Pryor and the members of the board for allowing us to speak here this evening. And in remembrance of 9/11, I'd also like to thank you, the veterans that sit on this board, and our local first responders for all of their service. I would like to address the board's code of ethics and your representation to the greater community. One bullet point, actions of officials and employees shall be consistent with township best interest rather than personal gain, This is part of your job. Another point, conflict of interest. There happen to be, I think, 3 points of that one. Avoiding appearance of conflict between public duties and personal interest and activities. Another reads, actions on behalf of a third party. One has to wonder how well marketing strategies work with comments that are made on camera to the community at large. I think threats, smart aleck comments from the board members, and political disinformation at the end of your meetings, which you have a history of doing. Maybe that sells something that you have a big stake in. Now, in regards to the Charlie Kirk Day of Remembrance, I'd like to see that amended to include Melissa Ann Hortman, anyone who's been murdered for having their First Amendment right taken away from them, and in memory of all of the, I believe, 63 school shootings that have taken place in this country just since January, and we still have 3 months to go. Thank you.
Gail Kane, Temperance. First off, ironically, we had a very select group of people make the rule to stop public comment. And ironically, tonight, we had one person solely on his own arbitrarily declared that public comment had just now been increased to 3 minutes. Folks, I didn't know that, or I would have written something and practiced at home, so bear with me. But in this whole event, first off, what I saw in the packet basically compared apples to oranges in the 2 categories that they're going to ask you to use to make a decision, which is just discussion, it's not a vote tonight. Secondly, out of all the county agencies, they chose the Mental Health Board. I personally took this as a slap to Mr. Frederick. Versus the one that holds the greater statue, which is the county commissioners, which have no time limit. And thirdly, it's sad when a select few make that choice to change the rules outside of what's in their booklet, which is, we know this has been a bad habit for over the last 8 to 12 years. They're making the rest of you, and I'm speaking the trustees, bear the brunt of their bad decision, because they don't want to stand up and take responsibility. So whatever choices you make, they better apply to both sides of the fiddle, the goose and the gander, whether it be the time limit on who says the prayer, if we're not supposed to advertise for any doings that take place within this township. So yeah, you make the rules, you pick the rules, but it better apply to both sides. Additionally, and I suppose somebody out there is going to go ahead and call Vance and report me to Trump, because that's what's been ordered. This is the type of people this is. But I don't see why we should have a Charlie Kirk Day, not here in this township. For what reason is it? We lowered our flags. We did what we had to do. But we have so many other people who have met the same fate without special recognition, especially when we sit silent as a United States of a democracy, when we have not one but 2 wars that are creating genocide. So there is something wrong here that we're going to put one man up on a pedestal when we have all these other people who are basically losing their lives. They're losing their countries. They're losing their identities. So I'm not certain why it should happen, especially not here. I would hope that we don't make a vote on this tonight. There apparently seems to be a need for more discussion. And additionally, I don't give my house number, but it appears in the minutes, so something's not right.
Mulder, 6508 Douglas Road, Lambertville. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing us all talk up here, but I would like to get on whatever secret agenda meeting there is that comes out or email, because I wasn't aware that there was amendments to that, but it seems like a lot of folks were tonight. So hopping down to item E, just want to voice again that I'm opposed to changes to the public comment policy and rules. I think the process we had before worked well. I do have questions on the rules that are being proposed. You know, who's going to police said rumors and validate these as rumors as they're put into the agenda here? And what defines advertising? You know, and I had this pre-written, so I apologize. This is not a direct stab, but if you are going to run for a political office, where does that fall? Do we have to put a request in now to make a presentation to the board? Is there a time limit associated with that? Do we get to not talk about the farmers market and the veterans vouchers that they're having? Does the DDA lose their ability to talk about the Boo Bash? So advertising, what does that look like? What does that get defined as going forward? I think there's entirely too much left up for interpretation and possible censorship and misapplication of the rules, and I definitely have concerns that those rules won't be applied equally to anyone that comes up here to speak. I also want to note that all 4 trustees up here have voiced their opinion not to change the rules as stated in previous minutes or meetings that we've had. So, a couple other items here that I want to talk about. 8D, I do support extending the SEMCOG study. As a member of the Planning Commission, I think it's important that we have this opportunity to take advantage of that with SEMCOG for a relatively low cost. I think it was like $2,500 is our portion of that share. So it definitely makes sense from a grant standpoint and support for future development in that corridor and improvements for road safety. Also looking forward to the master plan meeting for the public here, the open house that's on next Monday here at the Township Hall. That is in the entire packet, so I do encourage everyone to take a look at that, provide your comments and feedback at that meeting, or get a hold of the planning department. You can also do that in an email or a phone call to them to help us shape that and what that looks like. Also want to comment that I do appreciate this packet was relatively complete for once. The master plan was included. I was actually very surprised to see that, as well as several other documents. But I will say the BZA packet was not complete this week. There was only an agenda with a parcel number that you couldn't even find out where it was at in the township. That parcel was not showing up on our tax maps. If you went to GIS to the township website, and there was no address associated with that. So I think it's definitely a disservice to the residents when you put the information out there, but don't give a complete view of what's there and what's included in that packet. Thanks.
Hello, I am Matthew Bacon, and like this gentleman over here, I am actually not from Bedford. I am from Dundee, but I am involved with many members of this community. I know lots of other people have already spoken, so I will try to keep my concerns short. In response to the commemoration of September 10th by the Bedford Township as National Charlie Kirk Day, I've heard lots of comments about people being unified in the grieving of Charlie Kirk for his support of being able to civilly discuss opposing viewpoints without fear of safety, and I want to bring up a few concerns regarding that. Why is this a value that is being expressed as being important to the board when just 3 months ago members of our community were faced with death threats by militias for wishing to peacefully express dissent for our government at the local, state, and federal level? Where was this unity in grieving 3 months ago when Democratic politicians in Minnesota were assassinated? And if you do hold the values of Charlie Kirk to your hearts, to let us civilly discuss and dissent without fear of violence or safety, I want this board to give us our 7 minutes of public comment back. I will also agree with another resident's concerns that I do not want our addresses published publicly in the minutes when there is no requirement to do so. Thank you.
Wendy Robertson, Temperance. We all stood here and just did the Pledge of Allegiance. You guys want to do Charlie Kirk Day? That's great. June 14th should be Melissa Hortman Day. Let's not forget the kids. Their day should be before anybody else. Those kids should be before anybody else. period. We all stood up here and said liberty and justice for all, looking at that flag. I'm also a veteran. It just sickens me to see other veterans stand up here and not go justice for all. Justice for who they agree upon. That isn't who we fought for. We fought for all. It's in the Constitution. We stood here and said it tonight. It should just be that. And as board members, it is your responsibility to make sure that happens. Period. Regardless of what your personal belief is, you're up here for all. So if you're not going to do justice for all, stop saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Is there any further comment before we move on?
Good evening. My name is Orion Miller, Samaria. I want to first of all thank the board members for doing what you guys do. It's really important, and we all benefit from it. But as I'm in support of Charlie Kirk Day, I find it very interesting how much backlash it's getting. I just find it very odd. A man who stood up for the right to speak freely, which is quite literally what we're doing. What the time change is pending. I don't really know about that. Sorry. But the man stood up for that and quite literally died for that, and we're going to stand here and oppose it. I find that very odd. I also find it quite odd where people will say that he's a racist, he's a misogynist, he's all this other stuff. I'm like, I find that odd that I actually like him then. Being a black man with 6 daughters and a wife, 2 sisters, a mother, like, if I like him, I think if I like him, and trust me, I stand up for my family. I'm not doing any weird stuff. You can trust me, but that's up to you, I guess. But I will say it's a good thing. It's a good thing to support. It's a good representation for our country, and for everyone to basically, I guess you say, memorialize as a symbol, more than it is just about a person, although the person should be remembered as well. And also I hear a couple comments that we should be doing things for the children as well, but when we don't do anything for the millions of unborn children that are murdered in our country, I find that quite odd. So great, let's do a day for them too, and then we'll talk about all the other ones. Not saying that that's not a terrible thing that happens, but let's be good across the board. Thank you.
Hello, Amy, Temperance. I am supported Charlie Kirk Day, not just because it's Charlie Kirk, and I do agree with Charlie Kirk, and I'm saddened by the loss of him, but because Charlie Kirk represents everything that is America. Not only was he known in the U.S., he was known worldwide. North Korea celebrated him. UK citizens celebrated him. British citizens celebrated him. He is known worldwide. It's just not an American man, not just a dad, a son, a father, a husband. This is the American values, freedom of speech, knowing that we are the last place that has freedom of speech, the U.S. is. I think making a day aside for somebody who fought for that to the bitter end, literally, can't hurt. Thank you.
Josh Intercore, Lambertville. What happened to Charlie Kirk was definitely when that should have happened. And it just proves to show that, there is political violence out there. If people don't agree with you, they want to do harm to you. Look at our president. They attempted his life twice and missed both times. It just amazes me that people still want to call for all this hatred and division, and they want to say, oh, we should coexist. Oh, we need peace, love, and inclusivity. That's not peace, love, and inclusivity. That's not coexisting. It's time to flip the script, go back to we can agree to disagree, and we can still be friends, but the violence and going to the point of going for guns and starting taking people out just because we don't agree with them, that's the kind of stuff that the communists do. That's what they do overseas. You say something, you do something they don't like, they push you off a building. We don't want that here. I'm glad that we have our First Amendment right, and like she said, this is like the last country that we have this, and now it seems like it's getting scarier and scarier because if you say something or do something, they put a target on your back and they want to take you out. So I think we should honor Charlie Kirk, but we should also honor, yes, other people that have been silenced, just for exercising their First Amendment right as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rob Petrie, 728 West Samaria Road in Temperance. And I wanted to say that I am fully in support of having a Charlie Kirk Day. And the reason is that Charlie truly is a transformational figure. I mean, not only was he, in 12 years, built a countrywide organization that has, hundreds of chapters all across the country, engaging in civil discourse. He was also a patriot. He was an evangelist, and for those, I think he was basically had a target on his back for a lot of people, unfortunately. But I'm in strong support of a Charlie Kirk Day. Thank you.
Further comment?
Good evening, board and fellow residents. I'd like to thank the board. I'm sorry, my name is Ryan McKee. I'm from Temperance. I'd like to thank the board for the time and the residents to also give me their time. I would like to say that I stand here firm in support of Charlie Kirk Day. It's hard to believe that it even happened, and I apologize if I might stumble around my speech or my words because I didn't prepare a speech of any kind. I feel that what he stood for can be said about a lot of people, and he's highly relatable. The fact that he gave everybody an opportunity to speak, no matter their background, no matter their beliefs, I think it's something that is admirable. He never shunned away from having hard-hitting questions and usually having an answer for most of them. It wasn't any ad hominem attacks. It wasn't any personal attacks, no swearing, sometimes a little bit of a raised voice, but considering what he was up against sometimes, it was understandable. So I do appreciate and support Charlie Kirk Day, not just for myself, but for my children, because he was obviously a father. He was an advocate for children and unborn children. He's a shining example of what this country could become if we just give it a chance. Thank you.
Further comment? Seeing none, we're going to be moving on. Next is, 8A, vouchers for payment. Ms. Hershberger.
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General Fund, $71,121.42. Fire, $33,691.25. Fire equipment, $6,514.91. Downtown Development, $142.67. Library, $3,820.11. American Rescue Plan, $208,545.21. Building, $3,563.40. Sewer O&M, $429,454.64. Preston Agency, $7,915.50. For a grand total of $764,769.11.
Any further discussion? Take the roll.
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Stump?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Pryor?
Aye, motion carries. 8B, request for the Planning Department to distribute the draft Bedford Township Board Township Master Plan to the general public and the various entities.
Yeah, it was, I didn't, oh,
Or Lucy?
yeah, let Lucy.
Good evening. Would you like to speak, Mr.
Go ahead,
No,
go
okay.
ahead.
I'm here tonight to address item B. Purpose of today is not to vote on the master plan. It's simply to approve its distribution for public review. This is something that is required per the Planning Enabling Act, PA 33 of 2008. This is not the final adoption. We're just moving the process forward. I can give you a little bit of highlights on the master plan. If you were, first of all, my name is Lucy Fortin. I'm your township planner, and I've been in that capacity for over 10 years now. And so I had the privilege of doing the one in 2015, and I'm really happy to be involved in this update as well. As far as what the master plan is about, I'd like to tell you a little bit, very briefly, about this. A community master plan is really a long-range policy document. It guides physical development for the next 10, 20 years. There is a requirement in the Planning Enabling Act that I talked about that dictates how the process is supposed to go and what needs to be included in the plan. The Planning Commission works really hard at this document, and Kyle is here tonight, and I know Mr. Montry participates very strongly with that too, which is great. It is not the zoning ordinance, and sometimes people confuse the two, master plans versus zoning ordinance. The master plan just provides the foundation for the zoning, and the zoning is a way to implement the master plan. This particular draft outlines 6 core community visions and goals that I hope that you've looked at, and you came in and participated in May 14 to a joint session. There was an extensive public survey with over 600 responses, which is absolutely great for Monroe County. So kudos to Bedford community to participate in that effort. This is great. And there's going to be more. Kyle alluded to the September 29th open house that you're all invited to. And we'll get more input that way. And there's going to be certainly more public meetings with the Planning Commission. The process from here is for you to approve distribution to public review, should you choose so tonight. And the public review period is a 63-day period, which comments can be accepted anytime. After that, the Planning Commission is supposed to hold a public hearing. Another form of public input can take place. And then they will consider approval of the plan and forward the recommendation to you. So all of that will probably conclude in the early 2026, in January, we hope, with the time frame and how it falls. So this evening, again, we respectfully ask that you approve the release of the draft community master plan for distribution as required by the law. And if you have questions, I can certainly address them.
No, I guess I would just summarize what Lucy said is just basically all we're doing tonight is the Planning Commission has gone through this. We've went over it. We've made some slight adjustments, and now we are just approving it for dispersion to the community so that we can start doing these open houses and working on as a whole with the Planning Commission and as a community. But this isn't a final approval. It is just it is almost the first step. Officially, I guess.
Any other questions? Lucy or Craig?
I'll make the motion for the board to approve to distribute the draft Bedford Township Master Plan to the general public and various entities as required by the Michigan Enabling Act for review and comment.
Support.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please take the roll.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Stump?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Pryor?
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Lucy. Next, we have 8C, approved storage boxes for clerk and planning files.
So I did a lot of research on boxes that will preserve all the paperwork that we're going to be putting into the new maintenance building for our storage. I have dealt with boxes that got wet and then I had to pull out all the papers, try and dry them out, try and save these. These papers are things that we have to keep forever. So I found these containers. They gave me a good deal on them. I think it's actually 206 I can get for $5,000. They come up to just shy of $17 a box. They are waterproof. They are plastic. They're hard. They clamp down. You can even lock them if I needed to for some reason. They're stackable. And with our water suppression system out there, if we get a leak or breaks or anything, my paperwork will all be preserved. So I am asking this board to grant me the $5,000, which I already have. I've already put that aside because I knew I was going to need storage for this going in. So it will come out of the ARPA fund 285-000-970.0100 ARPA 608A. That is where I put the money to be used for this. Is there any questions?
Support.
Great. Any further discussion? I just want to add real quick, even though we have a new building, it has a sprinkler system, and if that ever malfunctions or something happens, it can get flooded real quick.
And that's what happened in a
Right.
different building we used.
So
The sprinkler system
that's another
actually
reason.
broke.
Another reason we need them. Okay, seeing no further discussion, please take the roll.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Stump?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Pryor?
Aye, motion carries. Next is 8D, approve extended traffic study to be conducted by Southeast Michigan Council of Governments to start from Telegraph. This was the continuation. The board asked me to bring this back to what the additional cost would be to start at Telegraph, and our portion would be $2,824. So looking with Whiteford, trying to get the study going all the way from Telegraph to Memorial Highway. So it'd be a pretty long stretch in terms that we have. So same study, nothing's changed, just adding to it.
You gonna make the motion?
No. I'm going to say it's a complete waste of money, and I will be voting no on it. We all know what's wrong with Stearns Road, as I've said before. We all know it needs to be widened. I can save you the study. It needs to be widened. We're overpopulated. It gets too much traffic. It's been that way for years. But by the time we even get around to it, I won't even be sitting on this board if any of us are. The study will be obsolete, I would imagine, and you're going to have to spend some more money. And then if we do decide to widen it, you're probably going to have to go after easements. One or two people don't grant you the easements, guess what? Project's dead in the water. So I know it's only $2,800, but I've been against it since day one, and I'm going to hold true to that, and I will be voting no.
Any further discussion?
I don't disagree with Joe, but I also, well, on the majority of his point, but I also, we can't submit Joe's opinion if someone down the road is going for a grant. We can't submit that Joe said it needs to be widened. We won't. That won't stand for the grant as this study, and unless it expired. And I guess I don't know exactly how that would work or what the time lapse would be with that, but I think it's a negligible amount of money to spend to have the study that if you ever were able to, that it would be helpful in obtaining a grant, because without a grant, to your point, the likelihood of it ever happening is slim to none. So it would almost without exception or question, it's going to need a grant for it to ever be done. We agree it needs done, but I'm in favor of spending the money, getting the study and having it on record. That's my opinion.
Great. Any further thoughts, comments?
My only thought is that we talk about widening the road. Yes, that could be one solution, but I think there are other solutions out there that will not cost as much money. And when we do go to apply for a grant, first things they're gonna ask is, well, have you done a safety study? And so it's not just necessarily about widening the road, but there are other things that I think we will see from the study that we can do that will cost not as much money as widening the road. And I think what will be all in, maybe $5,000, $6,000. I think that we'll probably be able to get a grant to cover that and more. So I think it's a solid return on investment. And so for that, I'm going to support it.
Great. Any other thoughts, comments? I've always been in favor of it, so seeing none, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to extend the traffic study to be conducted by SEMCOG to start from Telegraph all the way out to instead of Douglas Road for $2,824 coming out of the account 101-450-867.0000.
Support.
Seeing support. Any further discussion? Let's take the roll, Ms. Hirschberger.
Mr. Stump?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
No.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Pryor?
Aye, motion carries. Great. Next is 8D, discussion regarding public comment. I'd like to start this off. First of all, when we did the memo and taking a look at things, we wanted to show what other townships were doing. And maybe some of the townships are doing it legally, and maybe they're not doing it legally. But we are making suggestions to the board. At one time, I had heard that times were kicked around before in terms of public comment. Our policy basically says we may. What I put in the memo, there was nothing in here that was definitive that said this is exactly what we are going to do. Because quite honestly, whatever we're going to do is going to go through Phil and legal first to make sure that we compile with state laws, the Open Meetings Act. In terms of the Open Meetings Act, and everybody needs to be informed, there is no time limit. We could do 20 minutes, you could do 2 minutes, you can do 5 minutes. You can do one time limit. You can extend. There's things there that you can do in terms of that. I also take a look that when we're doing board policy and so on, is that I think future boards should look at things every so often and say, hey, does this work for us? Maybe the old policy is the best. But I can also tell you, I haven't seen any rules of engagement for our public comments. Trudy, I don't know. I looked in the policy. I don't see much or anything outlined of everything that we can do. But I certainly take a look at Bedford Public Schools. They have a ton. Monroe Charter has it. We used Bedford Charter. We looked at just what were other communities putting on their agendas. And they do put things right on their agenda that this is what our policy is. Okay? So everything is going to be run through legal to make sure that we're compliant. And it's whatever this board wants to do, and that's why I put this on for discussion. And then we need to talk about it, and what is it we want to do, and then it's going to get shipped off to Phil. Phil's going to take a look at it. Yes, we did have some emails, and I did share those with the rest of the board. So that the rest of the board could take a look at public sentiment. So I don't know what more I can do there. So, questions, thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, a lot of thoughts. Spent more time researching this than I care to admit. Two main points for me. We have not had any issues with public comment time since I've been here. If there have been, I would love to hear them. The issues that we've had were during board comment time, not public comment time. And so, you know, the old saying is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. We haven't had any issues with public comment time. I think we should go back to the 5 minutes and the 2 minutes where they were at in the agenda. So that's point number one. Point number two would be, not a single person that I've talked to or have seen come up here has asked for less time during public comment time. Not a single person has asked for less time. So with it not being broken, and we haven't had any issues with it, and nobody's asking for less time to speak, I don't know how I can vote to take time away from them. The only people that have asked for less time to speak have been this board, and that is to maybe to be more convenient for us and to make our meetings not run as long. That's not serving the people, that's serving ourselves. That's not why I decided to run for this position. And so for those two main reasons, on the time limit part of it, I'm going to be hopefully getting this done to where the next meeting can be the 5 minutes and the 2 minutes. And then dig in deeper to the policy aspect of things where that would have to go through Phil and our attorneys to say, yeah, hey, we're in accordance with the state and the federal laws when it comes to Open Meetings Act and freedom of speech and the First Amendment. So that's my goal for today. Let's get 5 minutes, 2 minutes back on the next meeting where it was at. Let's continue the conversation of our actual policy because, you know, these proposed rules that we have, you know, I could go 1 through 12 and address them right now, but maybe I open it up to you guys to hear what you guys have to say. But that's where I'm at. No issues. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. No one's asking for less time. Keep it simple. Let's go back to the 5 minutes and the 2 minutes and then discuss further our policy moving forward.
Oh, hi, Joe.
My issue is this was a self-created problem.
Absolutely.
Okay, we self-created this problem. The 5 and 2 was working well. It was like that for the last 4 years. I can't remember what we did when I was on the school board, but this should have been a non-issue. I will not support anything less than restoring the 5 and 2, period. We just handed out a big packet right here. And you want to give somebody 2 minutes to talk about this if they come up to a meeting? Lamar brought that up the last time, all right? It's going to take more than 2 minutes for somebody to digest this and go through it. And we're public figures. I mean, we take a butt kicking every now and again. It's going to happen, all right? It is. This is easy. Folks, go serve on the Board of Education for a few years. Holy cow. All right, especially when you have to vote to close schools or cut this or do that. I mean, it got to the point where we would have to make a motion to increase time past 10 o'clock because the meetings went longer. But that's what we did because we let the public speak, and that's what we need to do here. Okay? Nobody's come up here with pitchforks and try to run us out of town or anything like that. They're upset with us. They've let it be known, you know, we take our notes and we try to change things. So again, I will not support anything less than restoring back to the 5 and 2.
Correct.
Very similar sentiment, except for I believe, I don't know the genesis of the 5 and 2. It is not required. It is not an Open Meetings Act requirement. We obviously could not be having these meetings if we were not in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. So it is not something that we have to do. And I would say that it's not good just because it's what we were doing. I believe that it was well thought out, and I've always appreciated the structure of the public comment at township board meetings because it gives 5 minutes to discuss master plan. When there's a big agenda like this, you got a big agenda with that the community can come up and give suggestions, make comments about stuff we're going to talk about that might save us a pitfall. They might come up and say, I think this is dumb what you guys are doing because of X, Y, and Z, and we might not have thought of that, and that could save us an issue, or they could change perspective. It allows that agenda items, and then, and agenda items only, and then 2 minutes. If you're having a bake sale that you want to plug at the end of the meeting, you got 2 minutes. Come up and plug your bake sale. Tell us that you disagreed with the way that we voted on something. You can get your plug, and that's good. But it's not holding up the meeting with somebody talking about their bake sale, and we haven't even got to business that we need to attend to. So I've just always appreciated the way that it was set up, and I agree. There's no reason for it to have ever changed. As long as I've been on this board, I've been on the board since 2018, and anything that we've had past a 10 o'clock meeting, as far as I can remember, had nothing to do with because of comment time. It had to do with robust schedules and board discussion over those issues, not because someone came up and talked too long about their bake sale or whatever it may be. As far as that goes, that's my opinion. Like I said, the details and some of this other stuff we can discuss, but as far as comment time goes, I think it should be restored for those reasons.
Krista?
I'm not for giving more time. If we do go back to, what it was before, sorry. I'm not for giving more time, but if we go back to the 5 and 2, I agree with Craig. We do need to keep the 5 as board agenda items only, and then 2 as, normal business or, everyday business, but I can't see giving any more time.
2 is plenty at the end. 2 is more than enough at the end for the little things that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I know that Trudy has gone to a bunch of different things, and she'll probably discuss it, all the different places that she's gone to classes. They say 3 minutes should be max, but I know she'll probably comment on that if she wants to.
So, I've been on this board for a long time. I can tell you, I have the history. I did the research. December of '99, we only had one public comment, limit of 5 minutes. It was in the beginning. 99. December 2000, changed to 2 public comments. First one was 2 minutes. The second one was 5 minutes after board comment. That didn't work out too well. So in 2004, public comment, the second one was put before board comments instead of after. Then, 2012, public comment changed to 5 minutes in the beginning, 2 at the end. April of 2014, public comment changed to only 1 at the end for 5 minutes. Then July of 2015, public comment was put back on for 2 minutes. First one, agenda items only. First time in this entire thing that it was voted on by the board. Second public comment was changed to 3 minutes by the board. All these other ones were changed by the supervisor only, who sets the agenda. 2017, public comment changed again. First one for agenda items only was 2 minutes. Second public comment was changed to 5 minutes. Then, December 1st of 2020, it was changed again. They flipped it. Public comment changed to 5 minutes for agenda items only, and the second one was 2 minutes for anything else. So public comment has been changed numerous times, all but once by the supervisors. And I have that documented.
Good. Good work, Trudy.
Yeah, I appreciate you. That
So do
took
I.
time, I'm sure, to go through all those
It
minutes
did.
and everything.
It did.
So I appreciate that.
And I want to make a correction. I have all the 97 agendas. They're not in media form. They're in paper form. So you can go through them in paper form, but I don't have them in media that I can send it out. But I do have paper form. I also went through, because I was on this board for the animal attacks to farm life 2 times, fire department issues, and I'll tell you, public comment went anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. It was to the point where it was so much public comment, because we had one in the beginning and one at the end, that board comments could not be made. And at one point I said, whoa, wait a minute. I have election stuff I have to say. You can't just cut board comment. I need to say this. Couldn't, because we only extended it till 10:15, and I was done. I didn't get my comments out that were so important for the audience and for our residents to know. So all the classes I've attended, all the master clerk classes, all the certified clerk, all the election clerk classes I've taken state anything over 3 minutes, people are just repeating themselves or adding more words to the same thing that they've already said. And anything over 3 minutes, you just lost your audience attention. Those are facts. So whatever this board decides, I want you to have the facts.
Thank you, Trudy. Well said.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Shame on the board for not extending it past 10:15 when you have important announcements. That should have been extended to 10:30 to get those comments in when it's regarding an election. That's the board's problem. I don't have a problem going past 10 o'clock if we have to extend it. Happens few and far between. As many of you know, I work up in Lansing. We start session at 1:30, and there's going to be many nights here in the next couple of weeks that go potentially into 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning. That's just a part of public service. So I don't think that's necessarily going to push me over the edge to, for my position. I still think we need to stick with the 5 minutes and the 2 minutes. No one's asked for it. We don't have an issue with it. And we move on into discussing the proposed rules for public commentary 1 through 12. I don't know if we're allowed to make that motion or not, since everyone's spoken their
This
piece.
is discussion.
So we can't make a motion tonight to
No,
go
we
for
just
5
want
and 2?
discussion. We'll make the motion with everything. That's why it was on as discussion only, so we could have an open discussion about it.
Exactly.
And just,
So next meeting, though, before the meeting, I could make a motion to amend the agenda for 5 minutes and 2 minutes, like we did tonight.
Yeah, you could.
Okay. That's what we'll do then. That's what I'll do, at least.
But-
You guys can vote on it. So then discussion regarding the 12 points. I'm going to go through really quickly. I'm sure you guys all have your own opinions. Number 1, a time for public commentary will be given 3 minutes. Don't agree with it. Number 2, please state your name and address. We can ask for it, can't force them, and can't stop them from speaking if they don't give it, according to the Open Meetings Act. Number 3, anyone wishing to address the board will approach the podium. Okay, that's fair. Number 4, please address your comments to the supervisor. Again, not in the Open Meetings Act. Don't have to force them to, can't stop them if they don't. Number 5, the speaking citizen, and I'm just going off the Open Meetings Act, the speaking citizen must address the business that is being addressed at the meeting. Disagree with wholeheartedly. That's when we get into freedom of speech. That does apply during Open Meetings Act. Our Open Meetings Act is outdated and has been thrown out at the circuit court level, at the federal level when it gets challenged. And I have plenty of court cases here. When I spoke with the Deputy Solicitor General in the Attorney General's office, whose son is on my staff. I called him as a friend, didn't go through the proper channels of the Attorney General's department, but speaking with him, the Open Meetings Act, when we open up that forum for public comment time, the circuit courts that is binding in the state of Michigan in the 6th Circuit state that the freedom of speech does apply to the Open Meetings Act. So I don't think we should be restricting what people can and can't say, especially when it comes to criticism. Again, I have 3 or 4 court cases, a few that happened here in Michigan, regarding people's speech and criticizing individual board members. I can go all night regarding that. The no rumors will be announced. That's a interesting one. I think Kyle brought up a good point. Who's to say what is a rumor, what is not a rumor, what is a rumor to someone may be a fact to another? That's difficult to police. I think we should get out of that business. Number 7, no advertising. That is put on there based off of my conversations with some of these people on the board regarding a MCL that states that township cannot spend money when it comes to advertising and putting things out into the public. The issue with that is I think that applies to the township and us as elected officials, not the public. The public can come up and speak to whatever they want. That is not a government township endorsement of what people are saying. So if somebody comes up and speaks to vouchers for veterans or Relay for Life or whatever the case may be, I believe from my interpretation of the law and the MCL that we're talking about when it comes to no advertising, that they have the right to do that. Number 8, a person may not give up or relinquish time to the person taking the floor. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Are people not allowed to then hand over their phone for the other person to finish with that renewed time that that new person would have? That's just a question. Number 9, no participant may speak more than once. Okay, that's fair. That's within the Open Meetings Act here in Michigan. Number 10, the meeting is a time for the board to accomplish certain business. Personality conflicts between individuals should be resolved outside of a business meeting. That's a lot of gray area, open for interpretation. I'm of the opinion that if you are an elected official, you represent the township 24/7, 365. What we say and do in this meeting and outside of it, I think, is official township business, and that you guys have the right to come up and criticize us for whether it's a Facebook post or someone gets a DUI or does whatever. We represent the township 365 days a year. We get paid whether we show up to meetings or not, and so therefore people should have the right to come up and criticize us. Number 11, if it is recommended, if you have the same comments about a topic, that a spokesperson be appointed to speak on behalf of others. Sure, that's fair. We don't have to force it, though. Actually, we're not allowed to force it. We can recommend it. This is not a Q&A session. Board members will not respond to questions during public comments. That is correct. You guys can say whatever you want. We're not permitted to then speak and answer at that exact time. We could answer during our board comment time. So that's my piece on it. Again, I've done a ton of research, more than I care to admit, looking at case law from the circuit federal courts that is binding in the state of Michigan, and there is other circuit courts across the country. Let me see here. Where's it at? The 11th Circuit. So while not binding in Michigan, this case confirms a national legal consensus. Governments may not restrict critical speech during open meetings. So that goes with the 6th Circuit, which is binding in Michigan, that people have the right to come up and criticize us. It's a non-starter for me. We will be here till 10 o'clock if anyone wants to.
Well, we just might be, because
we will be here till 10 o'clock.
Let me ask you
Ask
this.
away. We're not going to.
Let me ask you this. So
we're not going to
underneath the average. So underneath.
Hold on. I'm almost done. We're not going to limit what people are going to say.
I didn't say that. I said we could be here till 10 o'clock.
That's what we're going to do. We'll be here till 10 o'clock.
Huh?
If that's what we're going to argue about, that's what.
No, I didn't say we're going to argue about that. But I'm going to speak now.
Go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, I didn't speak about the time. And I've also did some research, too. I kind of like what Frenchtown does. They do 3 in the front and they do 3 in the back. Some of them do 4 in the front, some do 2 in the back. Okay, so I'm looking at. As for addressing me as supervisor or the board, I really don't care.
Can't force
it. Okay, so also, let's take a look at no advertising. And that's something that I would take a look. So if I get 50 people that show up for 2 or 3 minutes, and they line up and they come in and say, I'm going to advertise Joe's Dairy Queen. I guess that's going to be okay with you.
No, it is okay. Not with me, but with the First Amendment and the Constitution that's ruled in the 6th Circuit Court. It's not me.
So I would suggest that when we did some of these suggestions, most of these people are in violation.
Absolutely, yeah. And the issue is no one goes and challenges it in court because they just accept it. They don't know their rights.
So what I'm taking a look at, and you know, when we go through these rules, we don't have very good rules of engagement anyways. That's why we're here. If we want to cite court cases all day long, I guess we could have Phil come and do that.
Phil's not going to disagree with the 6th.
But here, well, I would differ with you on that a little bit.
We had that discussion. We'll have it at the next meeting too. That's fine.
Exactly. So when we talk about rules of engagement, we really haven't had any. So it's okay when you have it. I'm speaking.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And I've been out there when when past boards, we've had people come up in their public comment, and they're threatening Paul. One guy wants to fight him, and all those other things. So I guess we're just going to let that go.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, threats do not, they're not permitted by
What's
the First
perceived
Amendment.
as a threat?
What do you mean what's perceived by a threat? If someone's threatening you, it's pretty obvious. So no,
Well,
we're not going to permit threats when
Are you going to define that in the rules?
I think it's pretty obvious that, yes, you are not allowed to make threats. That's not just,
Same way, okay, so if they come up and they start insulting or saying something,
They
like
have
there's
the
a
right to
rumor
say
with
that.
your family or something that's not true, I guess that's okay too.
they have the right to say, yes. We can't say what they can and cannot say. That the Sixth Circuit Court, federal courts rule that. That's what I'm saying. And
Well,
again, the
then
deputies.
I think the Attorney General isn't doing his job because there's a ton of these townships that are in violation.
And
I would
have
tell
them-
you state guys, you might want to call him up and start telling him to do his job.
when they are brought to when they're brought to court, they lose. The townships and the school boards lose because the freedom of speech applies to the First Amendment or the.
Why does it say in the Open Meetings Act and things that
Great question.
We're allowed to have rules?
That's a great question. We are allowed to restrict when it comes
So
to.
quote me those rules right now so that we can clear it up. I want you to quote me the rules so that the rest of the board is going to have that.
You want me to pull it up on my phone, or you
Do
want me
what
to
you
bring it for
gotta
the next
do.
meeting? So what I'm going to say, Al, really quickly.
Because I want to get it resolved.
Okay, it's very easy.
Right.
We may limit public comment time, or we have to give them public comment time. That's
I'm
an
not
open meetings
disagreeing
act.
with you.
We have to then.
I'm not disagreeing.
We may limit that amount to a reasonable amount, but we may not tell them what people can and can't.
I'm not arguing that.
What are we arguing?
The last meetings they've gotten to say from that last meeting when we had with Marty, after that, they have been able to say whatever they've wanted to.
Okay, and that's
We have
great.
not limited that.
That's the way it
That's
should
not
be.
the argument. What we're talking about, the rules of engagement, you just rattled all these off. Well, we're not going to do this, and
This goes against what we've done the last couple
so then
meetings.
tell me what we can do.
I just did.
No, tell me in the law what we
So,
can
okay, it's a great point. Trudy brought it up earlier on a phone call.
Tell me what.
Said, why does the Open Meetings Act say something that contradicts what the Sixth Circuit courts are ruling at the federal level that give the freedom of speech to people when they come up during public comment time? Why does it contradict? That's a great question. In 1931, we had an abortion law in the state of Michigan that's been on the books as of last year, that in 1973, when Roe v. Wade was handed down by the Supreme Court, that says abortions are legal, but in the state of Michigan, we had 1931 abortions illegal for all purposes. They contradicted each other since 1973, and for 1973 up until last year, or the year before, it's been contradicting. Okay, so unfortunately in Lansing, things like that happen and take place all the time. When people go up and they speak and people push back and school boards say you can't say that, they take it as, okay, can't do it. But for the people who do go and challenge it in the courts at the federal level are saying that the First Amendment applies to the Open Meetings Act. Okay, and when people come up and speak during public comment time, that's the contradiction. I understand where you're coming from, but that's what the case is. So if they want to come up here and criticize us and take us to court, they're going to win off of us telling them they can't speak.
What I'm asking you, what is the rules that you are proposing for engagement?
We don't limit them. That's what I'm saying.
So what you're saying, we should have
threats and then
we
keeping
should
them
have
within the
no
time
rules.
limit.
No rules then.
Yeah, yes, freedom of speech.
No,
Time
zero
limit?
rules for anything.
Time limit, and then no threats. Let everybody else go up and speak to what they want. I think that we can have that conversation with Phil. That's going to be my suggestion, is we're not going to limit what people can and can't say.
We didn't say that. We have not done that.
You just said no advertising. You just said no rumors. You just said that you have to speak to what's at
So
the
I'm
meeting.
asking you.
I told you the answer. You just said we're not doing that. You just proposed it. I just said what we should do is nothing.
I'm asking you. So as your opinion, we have no rules except no threats. Is that it?
No threats and stick within the time limit. Let people go up and speak what they want.
Okay.
That is my suggestion.
Okay, Craig.
A couple questions.
Al, I love you. I'm just fired up here.
So
It's
to
called passion.
point,
Yes, it is.
what
Called
is your
passion.
opinion to point 5?
Oh.
It would be point 5 and point 7 in regards to having, if you had a 5 minutes agenda items only and 2 minutes
For
anything, would you say, well, advertising must be relegated to your 2-minute time, and addressing business of the meeting is relegated to the 5-minute time. So would that be, because you get 2 minutes, wouldn't you say that that is allowable to have, as long as it was clarified that
That's when it goes.
4.5 and okay. So you would concede to that. That's correct.
perfectly
Okay.
fine. You're giving
So
them that opportunity.
both of those are good as long as it's clarified. You have separate opportunities. Okay. So good. Point 4, Marty, you're our parliamentarian, I believe.
Marty.
Is addressing the supervisor / the chair I think would be the terminology I would prefer. Is that in Robert's rules?
Yeah.
That during comment time or any public time would be addressing the chair? Is that included in that, or is it something that
that's in Robert's rules.
you can't? So would it be something that if we have adopted Robert's rules, at least in a general sense, that's how we're going to operate, would that fall then and be allowable to say, this is how we conduct this meeting, so you're going to address the chair, you're not going to make a presentation to the audience?
So Robert's rules.
That's what I believe why this point is there.
Robert's rules and parliamentary procedure do not supersede the OMA, and in the OMA, there's nothing that states you have to address the supervisor. So we can ask them to, but if they choose not to, we can't stop them from speaking, is my point.
Okay.
No, we've never said that. No one
That's
said
what I'm
that to
saying.
anybody.
Go ahead, how you...
Well, the way I view this is that the chairman is in charge of the meeting.
Yes.
He has to maintain control over the meeting.
Yes.
Control over the venue. So that is the purpose of having the comments addressed to him and the board directly. We don't want arguments taking place between a podium person and the people in the audience. Next thing you know, we're going to have disruptions, people in the audience trying to talk who don't have a microphone and haven't been acknowledged. They're going to be trying to argue their point with the person at the podium. You lose control of your meeting.
You don't have order.
Yes.
It needs to be
and
order.
I think Robert's Rules of Order support that. And as far as addressing, I mean, Josh is saying there's nothing in the Open Meetings Act, but the Open Meetings Act says you can adopt reasonable rules to control your public comments. And that's where this would fall in.
That would fall. So,
I don't disagree with that, but what I'm going to say with people jumping in from the audience, then I think that they can have those people removed because they are a disruption during public comment time. The people up there, they're not going to be removed. They shouldn't be stopped from speaking, but if people are going to disrupt and argue back and forth with the speaker, those people can be removed. That's within the open meeting.
Can someone during their comment time be out of order?
But threatening and going over the time limit.
That's the only thing that would fall as being out of order?
Yes, and in our conversation with Phil, within the Open Meetings Act, it's a fine line. It's a kind of a gray area, and that's why people just accept for what it is and say, okay, well, these people must know. But when, again, it is taken to the courts have ruled in favor of the First Amendment. So, yes, they can be out of order by threatening or disrupting the meeting. How you disrupt the meeting while you're speaking, maybe it's screaming and throwing things, I'm not sure. But yes, if they're a disruption or they are threatening, that's what the OMA states, that people can be removed or their comment time limited.
Okay. My last one was to point 8. You asked the question of with relinquishing time. I would read this as what that is saying is you can't say, well, I got 5 minutes. Hey, I'm Joe Smith, and all right, that's all the time I have. Give 4 minutes to the guy behind me. I think that is.
That's fair.
Can I clarify what it was?
Yeah.
So people would go up to the podium. They'd speak their 5 minutes. They'd still want to talk. Joe Schmo from the audience would go, give him my 5 minutes. And he'd continue to talk. And then someone else would say, give him my 5 minutes. And he'd continue to talk.
That is not allowable. But if the person that says, if he wouldn't have said, give him my 5 minutes, if he came up and said, I'll keep reading, then this isn't saying
they
that
have
you
a
can't-
group-
this isn't saying you can't do that.
Or if they have a group spokesman, one person can come up. If they all.
But they're still
sharing
going to
the
have.
viewpoint-
They're still going to only have. If they have a group spokesman, they're still
Oh, no,
going to
they
be
can-
limited to their time limit.
No, they can
give them
extend
more.
that. They can have more time for
We
that.
can extend the time.
Okay.
SEMCOG does that
Yeah.
all the time.
If a group says, hey, there's 20 of us, I'm the speaker, how much time can you give me? I need 10 minutes. We can say, that's fine. If no one
Okay.
else from your group is going to speak, we'll give you 10 minutes to speak. I mean, but that's a board decision. We have to say yes or no to that.
Exactly.
So I can't come in here with
No.
50 people and just say.
You're going to have to pick one.
Well, and I think a lot of the goal is you're trying to be as free and open as you can, to allow as much dialogue as necessary without violating anything, but also having the ability to maintain order.
Correct.
Is as limited as you want, which maybe you won't be able to. And maybe you should err on the side of a little less order for a little bit more freedom. Those are my questions to Mr. Stump's points on his run through. That's all I had.
Did I answer them?
I think so.
Joe, did you have something?
No, my sarcastic side is like, we talk about all these people coming up and criticize us because we make Rule 13 that you got to say something nice.
And you have to end in a compliment.
Say something nice about us. I agree. There needs to be whoever's up at the podium needs to be heard. They got to get their point across.
Microphone.
We're subject to criticism. It's going to happen. I have never felt threatened up on this board, or when I was on the school board or anything. People are just passionate about what they're talking about. All the speakers against us, I think, have been fairly respectful and decent and non-threatening coming up here and talking. That's my personal opinion. But I like at the end of the 2 minutes, if you want to come up and advertise your bakery or your Dairy Queen or something like that, if we get 50 people to even come to a meeting, it'll be a miracle, right? There just needs to be some reasonable rules. Like, you can't say, Trudy, I agree. Hey, give them my 5 minutes. Give them my 5 minutes. We can't do that. We'll be reasonable.
To that point, it was said, I feel like it's been almost hinted at that a lot of comment time is a bad thing. I've been thinking about during this meeting, maybe there's different ones, but this is the best meeting I've ever been to, and that I've ever participated in this seat, and that is because of community engagement. If there is a thing I could ever get, is if we could get people to come to meetings and interact and pay attention and know what's going on and have an opinion and be involved. Township government was the focal point of this nation. Township government was everything, and these meetings were town halls where ideas were discussed and debated. And being able to have that and foster that is a good thing, and people being involved and coming and sharing their opinions is a good thing for a community and for the future, posterity, a word that doesn't get used often enough in this type of thinking, is the future. I think that it is a good thing, and we want to let it be.
So,
my opinion.
Is it the wish of the board when we go to Phil's to say we want to do the bare minimum to what is legal?
Well, and I think we answered kind of some of these questions.
No threats, and then when we come back, the next meeting, we will decide what the time is. We can have several of them, okay? If you want 5 and 2, we want this, whatever, and take the vote at that point in time. Scott?
I don't even have a problem with everything at the beginning. It doesn't bother me at all.
One comment?
One comment period, have a long period at the beginning. can have two at the end, whatever you guys feel is in the best interest of Bedford and the board, whatever you guys think will work best. Doesn't bother me, I could care less. But, I mean, at the most, go back to 5 and 2. I wouldn't extend it past that.
Mm-hmm. And I would add to the 5 and 2 is your public comment before you're getting into new business is for agenda items only.
Yes.
And the comment time at the end is whatever.
That's if you do it at the end, but some people, I mean, look now, if some people wanted to say something and they can't wait through the whole meeting just to get to speak.
Well, if you want, that's the thing. That's what I like about it. If you care to advertise your bake sale, you're going to sit there and you're going to wait through the whole meeting. If you care so much to advertise your bake sale, that's what I think is good about it. It's not something. Hey, I come in. Hey, we're having a party over at Bill's house, and you came in and you're gone. And yeah, that's what I like about having that at the end. Is you're forced to sit through the meeting.
Whatever policy we push forward, I'm just going to push that it is very flexible when it comes to allowing people to say what they want. I think that protects us with litigation. Not that anyone's going to take us to court, but if they did, and we go and we overstep our boundaries with what we allow people to say, that just puts us in a liability for a lawsuit, and I'd rather not do that. So I would err on the side of free speech in the First Amendment for people to say what they want. That way it protects us from civil lawsuits and things of that nature. So that's just where I'm coming from. That's what I'm going to say at the next meeting. I think we're beating a dead horse at this point. And I'm ready to move on.
I just want to add one thing. As far as the law on taxpayers' dollars being spent on ads, I want Phil to look into that
I'm more than
because
happy with that.
I don't want to violate. And Joe's in the audience, and Tim comes up and says, "Hey, Dairy Queen and Bethesda just opened, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Wait a minute, this is my money paying for this to go out. I don't want to pay for your ads."
I agree that Phil can look into that. I've had people tell me.
Because that has been a big point here, is not using taxpayers' dollars to advertise for other places.
I don't disagree at all, and I'm more than happy for Phil to look into that. Do you remember what MCL that was, or no, off the top of your head? If not, it's not a big deal.
I'll talk to Phil, and I'm already in violation because we're talking about Dairy Queen. So,
Dairy Queen,
I'll talk to Phil. We'll have the proposal. We can have what we can do, and I think is what we should do. We'll list, like, if Phil says, "Hey, maybe you should have this, this, and this," doesn't mean we're going to adopt it or whatever he says. I mean, it could be. Because obviously we've seen where other townships kind of do what they want. We can have that on there, and we might just have to go line by line to say, okay, we want line 1, we want line 2 and line 3, and these are the comments.
We just need to put this to rest and move on.
Exactly.
We need to get this done.
Yep, so next meeting, be prepared to
it's got to be done.
Get it out there.
And personally, I'm not concerned about what other townships are doing, because I'm concerned about Bedford Township and what we're going to do.
And I'm concerned about the MCLs that he keeps saying don't exist, when I'm looking at it right in front of me that says, "Does the First Amendment, freedom of speech, and the Michigan Open Meetings Act apply to public during public comment period in the township?" And it's saying no.
That was
per MCL.
Yeah, so again,
so I'm going to have Phil look at that too, because
I
I want to make sure that we are following the law.
I agree.
Josh, if you want to have that conversation with Phil, or get a couple of us on the phone, and we can have that conversation with Phil, so we have real clarity.
Yes, absolutely.
Because Phil's the attorney.
At the end of the day, I think we all want to follow the law.
Exactly.
Right?
And
MTA,
just like
that's
they
great.
said,
That's great. I read it.
Read the magazine.
I read it.
May.
Absolutely. But again, at the end of the day, when it is challenged in courts and it goes to the circuit level and the federal courts have decided over and over again, I have a stack of them right here saying that the First Amendment applies. Again, it's contradicting with what MCL is saying. There are many contradictions in MCL that do not, that contradict federal law. So again, more than happy to have that conversation. I can bring in, hopefully, the Deputy Solicitor General, the Attorney General's Office number 3 in the Attorney General's Department. He's more than happy to have that conversation.
So this is going to get resolved by next meeting. I mean, we're going to vote. And like I said, I think we're just going to have to take kind of a line item deal and say, menu approach, what do you want? Boom. And then, and if there's something that you guys want on there, let me know, because then we can put that on there and say, okay, this is one I want. Okay, and then we'll just go line up. It might be separate votes on each one, but we'll get it done.
Okay.
Josh, you good? Okay.
I'm just passionate about it. There's a lot of freedom of speech stuff going around the country and the UK, what people can and can't say.
Oh, yeah.
I want people to say what they can here in Bedford Township.
All right. There we go.
Invading my space.
Next. Let's get this done.
Craig, you're up.
All right, 8F. I would like to make a motion to approve proclamation to make September 10th officially Charlie Kirk Day in the Township of Bedford. And the proclamation will read as follows. Whereas Charlie Kirk, who has tirelessly championed the principles of limited government, individual liberty, and traditional American ideals, was tragically murdered at the age of 31. And whereas, through his leadership and bold voice, he has galvanized countless citizens to defend constitutional freedoms, promote free market principles, and uphold the sanctity of life, faith, family, and country. And whereas, his unwavering commitment to empowering young Americans and fostering patriotic engagement has strengthened the moral and intellectual fabric of our nation. And whereas, the Township of Bedford proudly honors those who courageously advance conservative ideals and inspire resolute dedication to the founding principles of our republic. And whereas, declaring September 10th as Charlie Kirk Day affirms our township's commitment to fearlessly preserving the values that make America exceptional. Now, therefore, this board does hereby proclaim September 10th as Charlie Kirk Day in Bedford Township. In accordance with this proclamation, all public buildings within the township will lower flags to half-staff on the 10th of every September, which should be kept lowered the following day in honor and remembrance of September 11th, 2001. We urge all residents to honor and remember Charlie Kirk on this day by recommitting to the defense of liberty, the pursuit of truth, and the preservation of our conservative heritage.
I'll support it, but I have a question for probably Marty.
Do you guys have copies?
As far as like lowering the flags, I mean, doesn't the governor have the authority to do that? I don't think we can do that on our own.
From what I understand, cannot tell people to lower flags.
According to the U.S. Flag Code, that's been promulgated by the Congress and last amended March 28, 2017, indicates that by order of the President, the flag shall be flown at half staff upon the death of principal figures in the United States government. Also, it indicates that the governors of each state shall also have limited powers under certain circumstances to proclaim that the national flag be lowered to half staff. So the United States Flag Code provides the authority to the President and to the governor of each state to order the flags be lowered.
Question. Is flag code law?
I would say it is not law. It's code.
Is there anything in the United States Constitution or Michigan's Constitution or anything in Michigan compiled law that would make it illegal for this township to make a proclamation where we are, within our own jurisdiction, proposing that we would like to lower our own flag? Is there anything that makes that illegal?
I'm not aware that there's anything in state law or the state constitution or the federal constitution. However, you would be violating this code. And I don't know what the penalties of that are, if any.
Would you? Well, if the flag code is not law, then it would not be illegal. Flag code, I would akin to similar to us following Robert's Rules of Order, that we can amend those. We don't have to. That's not a law that says you have to follow it, like Open Meetings Act overrules Robert's rules, that type of thing. So there is nothing that states that we cannot do this. I reached out to MTA and I asked them directly, I said, is this allowed within our own jurisdiction? As the flag code states that the president can, and that would be, but he can't in Mexico, and the governor can, but they can't in Nebraska, that we would be able to within our own jurisdiction. We can't say other municipalities must adhere to that, but within our own jurisdiction. And the answer that MTA gave me was, yes, actually, that probably that happens all the time. They said, and now what they said, they gave an example. They said typically stuff like there was a fire chief that's been around for forever, and okay, we're gonna do something like this where they're honoring him and proposing that. So MTA said, yes, that's allowable, and their words were, happens all the time, and there's nothing in Michigan law, there's nothing in either of those constitutions that say that, and I would argue that flag code, the purpose of flag code, and that's what it is a code, not a law, is for honoring of the American flag specifically, and certain other flags, but that it is so that the flag is not dishonored. And I would argue that we would not be dishonoring the flag in any way, and we would not be contradicting anything, any other. Actually, I would say we would be going along as the flag was actually directed by President Trump to be brought to half-staff, if I'm not mistaken. Was that not correct? Did that directive not go out by President Trump, right?
That was his order.
So we would be in alignment with that by doing this. We would be in alignment with President Trump's directive, and we would certainly not be violating or going against any other directive.
And there's plenty of jurisdictions out there right now that are violating that directive by refusing to lower things to half-staff.
And say it again?
There's other communities throughout the United States that are violating that directive.
And that is where you would have an issue, is you're in a violation of the governor or the president's directive. But we would not be in violation of anything. And another good example to consider with overriding of flag code is, unless I'm mistaken, flag code says you cannot burn a flag. Correct?
No, you can.
But the U.S. Constitution says that you cannot. Flag code is a directive, but it is not a law. And as every way I can think about it, there would be nothing that would be we would be in accordance with President Trump's directive to lower the flags, and we would not be in violation of anything. And per MTA, their words were, "Yeah, it happens all the time." Well, if then you wouldn't have an issue with accepting that.
As long as we're legal, I have no problem with it at all.
And if it was something that, hey, this is illegal. If Marty said, no, that violates.
If you guys find out
whatever law, then obviously we would go, okay, we're not gonna do that.
Then if we're gonna go in this territory, I'm gonna open it up to the public, like they've said, of children, veterans, whoever wants to call. Because we're the ones who get the call. You don't. When we get the calls, oh, we can't do that because we've been going by the flag code. So what I am saying is, if we're going to go down this path, I'm opening it up to the community to call up when they want the flag lowered for that person, and we need to have a policy, because there's people that have done great things in Bedford. We've had school kids die, like they said, been shot. Where we haven't lowered flags. We've had people, business people in the community that have created jobs, did all kinds of things, donated community stadiums, the whole 9 yards. So I just want to have a real clear policy that we lower the flags for others as well that are deserving.
Would that be a board vote?
It would have to be a board vote.
I don't know how.
The thing that would make sense would be somebody submits it to you guys, your office, and then it would be proposed before the board, and the board would say yes or no on lowering the flag. I think having a policy would be important if we were going to go down that path.
Why do I have a feeling there's
Krista?
a lot of...
Problem with that is you can bring it to the board, but if we approve doing this, lowering the flags, you bring it to the board and we say no, then why was it okay for one but not the other? I'm just throwing it out there.
Right, that's
because-
all I'm saying is that we get those calls.
Yep, that's how it works. That's how life works. Sometimes you have to say yes, sometimes you say no. So you seconded, and you have no problem as long as that's not against anything?
As long as we're legal doing it.
Yep.
I would say that you can't find that you're illegal doing it.
Okay.
For others, I think it needs to be in there, quite frankly. There's people, Republicans, Democrats, independents, veterans, and so on, firemen, the whole gamut that have done great things, and we're not going to recognize them as well. So I believe people should be able to call our office and say, hey, for example, you've got past trustees, you got past supervisors, whatever. Right. So, but I believe, hey, somebody.
If you believe in it, do it.
Huh?
If you believe in it, do it.
Yeah, but if you don't vote for it, then they don't get recognition. So I want a policy that says no. That the board doesn't need to vote on it.
Literally the antithesis of recognition.
What? I think
Recognizing everything and everyone is the antithesis of recognition.
Well,
it is the opposite.
So if somebody calls up and the board decides, well, I don't think this guy was deserving, so I don't want to give it to him, but somebody else was, then we'll give it to that person.
Hey, if it's a big deal to honor and remember someone who was the most public murder assassination in history, thanks to social media, if that's a bad thing.
I'm just saying, you know how many guys died in Vietnam? There were 55,000 of them. You don't think there's some guys here? Matter of fact, we got a plaque downstairs.
Yeah, there's so many that there's multiple days that remember.
No, there isn't.
Days
Totally
that remember those
days
people.
That don't
and
we don't recognize them.
mourn as a nation.
I'm just saying, Craig, when we
There
get
is.
these requests, I think it's going to be a little tough because we get those calls. And I'm just saying there needs to be some kind of policy that's even when somebody
My kids
calls
ask
up.
for candy a lot. I tell them no. I say no.
Well,
That's not. That you don't just get candy every time you ask for it. Sometimes I tell
I don't
them
have
yes.
a problem with Charlie.
Sometimes
Kirk.
if
What
they're
I
on
have
good
a problem
behavior.
is that we're going to say, okay, we do this person, but then somebody comes up because, well, we didn't really like that person, so we're not going to give him that honor. So
Would we vote on this and then put that for a policy discussion at the next meeting of what the process would be if we were to move down that path?
no, I'm just saying.
I think we're going to have to do something because doing this is fine, but we got to remember we're representing 32,000 residents. They're not all going to have the same views.
Yep.
A lot of them
That's what
are
we
not
do on
gonna
every
have the
single
same views
decision
as
we
Charlie.
do every day.
So if they want to bring someone, a resolution for someone to us to say, hey, we would like you to recognize this person.
If it makes
I think
any
we
sense.
have to be open to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree.
Yeah, we have to be open to it. I mean, we have to vote on it, but yeah, we have to be open to it.
But that's the only fair thing to do because we do represent more than just.
Well, if I would have brought to the agenda and said, I think that every Tuesday should be Funny Hat Day, I don't think we would even have discussion. I think it would get voted down. But when you bring something that is worthwhile, I think making analogies to this situation should be cautioned. This is a term I was using in a conversation recently, is a watershed moment in this country's history. This isn't just a little thing. I said this is a really, really big thing and I think one of the people in a comment said it wasn't the individual, it was everything that individual represented about doing things the right way and about what he represented and the way that he went about that, and that representation was a representation of this country and what this country should be and should be about, and that is something that should be honored and remembered and not quickly forgotten about, or is a very, very separate, set apart, different thing in history, in American history. It is not something silly.
So it sounds like we do have a support, and then
We have a motion,
it sounds
we
like
have a support.
and the majority of the board agrees that we can look into a policy moving forward for people that.
I just would like to see a policy that's,
I don't think anyone's.
when we get other
disagreeing
people
with
that call up, that we can say, hey, this is what we can do.
Then a future board could do away with it if they
Does
wanted.
it have to be, I don't know, Trudy. Good question.
Why can't someone just give us a resolution or
And we do it?
proclamation and we just bring it to the board and say, hey, we just received this? I don't think we need a policy
I'm fine
to
with
do
that, too.
that.
As long as we're on the same page and opening it up, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And then each board will decide and what happens if we say no. A new board for 2-3 years from now it'll be a new board. They can reapply.
They can even do away with it if they want.
I think it should also be added to one of the comments about it. This was sent to the board prior to the agenda going out, so there's maybe some miscommunication or whatever, but this should have been on the agenda and for the public too, one of the comments that went out.
Unfortunately, it came after the agenda was set, after the deadline. So that's why it was not on the agenda.
So we're going to vote.
Any further discussion? There's a second. Take the roll call.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Stump?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Pryor?
Aye. Motion carries. Board comments? Josh, you want to lead us off, buddy?
Sure. First of all, Al, I love you. Right? We're good.
It's a bro fest, man. I love
No,
you.
we're good. We're going to go golfing, I'm sure.
We're great friends.
I'm just
All debate.
Yeah, absolutely. Just very passionate about the First Amendment, and I just rather err on the side of caution and free speech. So I did get fired up there. Usually I'm pretty laid back and reserved, but it's a hot button topic for me. Not to be lost in all of these things, Lauren coming up and speaking beforehand, I just want to say that I had the privilege of playing college football for her brother and her father. Comes from a great family. I'm full support with her and her campaign. Shutdown at the Lansing state level, it's looking like we might be heading for a shutdown. Things change rapidly up there. People aren't backing down from their sides. And not to get political with it, but it is very much political in that Democrats want to increase taxes by $3 billion. Republicans want to decrease taxes by $3 billion, which they have cut and then put towards roads, which we all want roads. And so there is the internal struggle of the state government. The deadline is the end of this month. If we do not pass a budget by the end of this month, then we will be shut down. And the longest shutdown we've had, I believe the last one was under Granholm. It was only for a few hours in the middle of the night, and I think we might go a little longer than that, but if we get it done before the 10th, which I think is when payments go out to local governments, at least drafted, then nobody's going to miss any payments, and it's just going to be very political. And so just be prepared for that. I'm sure you will see it in the news. Other than that, I appreciate everybody coming out, voicing your opinion, whether we agree or disagree, you guys coming up, having the right to speak passionately, obviously is something very important with everything that's going on. So again, I thank you guys for coming out, and have a great night.
God.
Everybody have a great night, great weekend. I don't know how Bedford has this going on, but they got beat last time. Then they won, but not doing too good.
Real quick again, Lauren, thank you for coming out. You ready to make a ruling on any of this legal stuff that's going before the court? You ready to go at it now?
I'll take my support back.
Yeah. I've had the opportunity to work and know Lauren for a few years and see her in court when I worked in the courts and when I worked in the road, and she does a phenomenal job. A hard-nosed prosecutor, doesn't take anything from anyone, and she'll get the job done as a circuit court judge, and she has my full support. She comes from a great family. Looking forward to seeing you on the bench. That'd be awesome. As far as these meetings going long, it thins the herd out. As you see, some people have left already, and our president of the community college, I was hoping he'd hear my comments. I'm all for higher education. You know, I went to community college. I have kids that have graduated college. I have one that's in grad school at Ohio State right now, but he's not gaining my support for this millage after what we went through with all the DEI stuff and things like that. Not getting it, not going to support that millage at all. And everybody else can do what they want. And that's my spiel.
Yeah, I didn't know Kojo was going to be here, but it was already in my notes as well to advise to vote no on the Monroe County Community College millage. It failed last year. Nothing has changed. They have a lot of work to do. Mr. Petrie's comments kind of surmised that. They've got FOIA requests out that they are now in a lawsuit for not following for inappropriate actions of professors, etc. They have a massive. Well, I'm not going to get into it, but I advise to vote no on that upcoming millage. I also have the master plan open house. To mention that again, will be September 29th, which is a Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. here at Township Hall. That is open to the public for more input on our master plan. And then I would also add, again, what I had mentioned earlier is my favorite township meeting I've ever been a part of. Discussion and debate on the board is a wonderful thing. Input from residents is a wonderful thing. It is a necessary thing. I always encourage, if I could ever get it to happen, that I could get 20% of Bedford to attend 2 meetings a year, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. It is township government and township involvement was a cornerstone of this nation in the founding of this nation. It's very important to come up and share opinions, and I appreciate anyone and everyone that's been in attendance tonight.
The dreaded summer tax news. Summer taxes were due yesterday, Monday, September 15th. If you have not paid your taxes, there is now 1% interest that has been added, and that interest is 1% per month on your unpaid balance. I would like to say a big thank you to my staff, because since July we have collected 94% of the summer taxes due. I greatly appreciate all the help that work that they do in the department. And then everyone just have a great rest of your week and a nice weekend.
Judy.
Well, it's been said a million times now, but we have an election in Bedford on November 4th. The only thing on the ballot will be the college, and it is a renewal. Absentee ballots, if you're on our permanent list, will go out the 25th, hopefully, if I have my ballots. And if you want to vote absentee, you can do it at that time. All the polls will be open for this election. I'm not going to combine them. They're all open. So I have that. And thank you for excusing me at the last board meeting, but I was a little busy. I was watching 3 grandchildren because my 8th grandchild was being born, so that's why I wasn't here at the last meeting. So we welcomed Lucas Camden to the family. That's all I have.
Okay, Josh, we're only going to be here until 9:45 with my comments. Appreciate everybody coming out. I think it is good when we have board meetings like this because we're not always supposed to agree on everything. But we need to come to a consensus, and that's what we will come to on public comment and some rules of engagement. And that rule might just be one. I don't know. But this board will decide that. Okay? So we have some good things going on. If you've been by Car Park, we've got drinking fountains installed there, new drinking fountains in all the parks. We got the black fence up, and I want to give a thank you to Pam Hess and Justin. I'm not sure who else helped you, but they're painting all the fencing black so that it's going to match. So it's looking pretty good. Also, too, the pickleball courts, we have a pre-construction meeting next Friday. So we got 8 courts going at Carr. So some things are starting to happen in our parks. We're getting good cooperation with the park board. Wouldn't you say, sir? Yeah. Yeah. So, so that we're really pleased with that. The other thing that we're doing, if you go to the front of our building, we have citizens that volunteer all the time too. I want to give a kudos to Michelle Alvarez and Molly Kelly, because where you see the front of our building in that big maple tree, which unfortunately we may have to take out, that's going to be all wildflowers now. They're transplanting some from others. And you're all invited July 4th, this next upcoming year, because we have to open up the time capsule that's in there. So it'll be pretty interesting. It's like going to be 50 years old. God knows what's in it, but we'll see. For the building in the back, the maintenance building, we'll eventually do an open house so the whole public can see what we did with all the money that we got from the federal government. We're down to our punch list. Things are going pretty good. We got a couple other things that we got to just get finished up. So that's going pretty smooth in terms of what we're doing. Other than that, I don't have any other things. Just one other thing, though. Once we kind of do Car Park, then we're going to decide on another park that we're going to kind of do an attack on that one, and we're just going to keep going in terms of what we can do for our parks. Go ahead.
Just one last thing. You mentioned the tree being potentially cut down.
Yeah.
Can I make a motion to leave a giant stump there?
Oh, sure. I won't grind that stump down. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.